my name is Marine Correbaillet, and as Peter just explained, I'm quite new in the world of food 3D printing, even if I'm a kind of dinosaur of the 3D printing market. I'm working in this industry since 2011. And I was the deputy CEO of Scopteo. So Scopteo is a 3D print online service that provide about when I left, it was between maybe a little bit less than 2 million parts per year to many different type of industries. It could be medical or defense or. So it's really a kind of large type of industry. And in September 2018, I decided to switch and move to printing, actually. Well, my ambition was to combine the work of hand and our beloved technology and see what I could get from it. So in France, becoming a baker or a pastry chef is a regulated profession. So you have to go back to school and pass a specific degree. That's what I did. And during 1 year, I went to school and I worked in a fancy restaurant and bakery shop in Paris, specifically on luxury patisserie. So what you see in this image is one of the desserts I used to produce for Le Meurice, which is a palace and a gastronomical restaurant in Paris. And actually, it takes a lot of time, and it's really symbolic of what I think is the day job of a clerk and workers in Kitchen Lab. It's many, many steps, fastidious steps that could be easily automatized, but are not yet because some things, the value of what they've done is in this type of task, but it's not because it has nothing to do with having a clever hand or being skilled, actually. So basically, this dessert is in the shape of an apple, as you can see, and you've got several textures and cream inside. So it's built with molds, silicone molds that go to surgelation and then are assembled. It took several days, actually, to build such a pastry. So based on this experience, I thought that there was a lot of pain points, as I know in many industries, and it was exactly the same when I was working at Scopteo. What solution can I bring to my people or to my clients who have pain points? And the pain points in a kitchen lab or in a bakery shop are quite various, and I think it's a hard business, really hard business to get benefits from it. You've got demanding customers who want more and more sophisticated products. Some of them want less sugar, less additives, some have a specific request based on allergy and so on. Now you've got the takeaway business that is exploding, which means that some recipes are not easy to do because when you transport them, they become ugly. They become ugly, actually. And in the lab, you have these techniques that are very fastidious. You've got the raw material price as almond powder, flour, or chocolates that are really increasing right now. And the workers are not so loyal. Most of the workers I used to be with in bakery shop or restaurant was only planning to stay 1 year or maybe 2 and then get somewhere else, and it's really hard to build a relation. So to go on and develop what you have in mind as a pastry chef. So based on that, I think that the two main benefits that I can bring personally based on my experience of Sculpteo is to work on two sides of the 3D food printing market. The first side is to focus on productivity, exactly the way I used to work at Sculpteo. Our most successful clients were 3D printing application where we were able to save time, save cost, simplify the mounting steps. And actually I built a whole factory just for one Sculpteo client just before leaving, dedicating on this one specific application. That's not what you think and I thought at the beginning would come from 3D printing because it's not personalization. It's always producing the same part. And for instance, what it could be for the pastry market is creating intricate shapes of biscuits where you can fill all the cream in the same time and skip the mold. So that's really what I'm working on for the professional side. And on the other side, what I think was one of the success of Sculpteo is to lower the entry barrier into the market and get more and more people to have experience with 3D printing. So for instance, at Sculpteo, we started with products at €5. So my idea was to say, how can I bring the same type of experience to people? One of the solutions is to equip is not the good word, sorry, mount 3D food extruders on existing printers and develop the tools that will be used by people who know 3D printing. I think that maybe you in the 3D food market now experiment a lot with professionals, but there are also another segment who are 3D printing users. How can we bring them to food printing? So the first project I started with is a software actually, because when I started to work in food 3D printing, I bought syringe, I mounted something on my own personal printer, and I wanted to experience with it. And I figured out that you've got, with the pressure of the syringe, we all know that, a delay for extrusion, and when you retract, you have also a delay, which has nothing to do, which is quite unsimilar, I would say, quite different than plastic. So you cannot really use the software tools that were developed for plastic for food printing, right? So I started to work with a university on a continuous path generator, so we can have a different kind of slicer. And I worked on that during spring, offered that to some of you, had discussion with some food 3D printer builders all around the world, see if I could get a market for that, a way to finance it. And actually I didn't. So I stopped to work on that, and in June I started another project, which was linked also to containment. I couldn't work anymore on my main 3D printer, the one that will meet the need of productivity, as I told you before. And the second project is quite simple. Also, it's to build culinary extruders that you can mount on any type of printer. Since I was not really satisfied with the syringe, I just had a look on what could be done otherwise, and I said, okay, let's try to work with a worm. And working with a worm actually get me good results. I just post a few pictures here, and I started to show it to people all around and get a kind of demand. So I launched it on Kickstarter, and I launched it about 30 days ago. The campaign ends tomorrow, actually. So the really idea behind this campaign is not really getting money, it's just to raise interest and get people who are very used to 3D printing tools into the food printing market. So let's share some figures with you. I've got about 224 now, 24 bakers. It's about 26K raised, maybe a little bit more. You're really welcome to join. I can share the link of the Kickstarter campaign if some of you want to get in. Most of the owners and backers have a Creality Ender and Prusa, which are quite simple 3D printer to hack. Actually, you just have to 3D print support part, connect the stepper motor of the plastic extruder, and it works. And it works also with regular software. That was one of my main point and requirements. So people can still use Cura or Prusa Slicer if you are familiar with the slicers software to 3D print their food. I had some bakers that have some Snapmaker. I don't know if you know this type of 3D printer, but it's more a proprietary model. So it's a little bit too, it's more complicated to fulfill this demand actually, but I think it's interesting to see what they were looking for and also which material they were looking for. At the beginning, I thought that I don't have to deal with chocolate because, well, there's a lot of chocolate food printers in the market, and this topic was well studied and improved. But I was wrong. I think half of the baker right now wants to 3D print chocolate, and so I had to add a flexible heater and a solution for controlling it into the package. Well, that's it. I would be happy to really discuss about these first experiments with you, and just sharing the link of the Kickstarter campaign if you want to have a look on the project.